Okay, so we're up and running on the new PC. We're not rocking 2024 yet. This is Flight Sim 2020, just to establish basic functionality. We've got that installed quite painlessly, I have to say. Runs amazingly well compared to anything I've had before. At the moment we don't have the VR yet. Obviously we're on the 1440p monitor, 2560 by 1440, and we're getting amazing frame rates, I have to say. Even in 4K, you run the NVIDIA app, which is aware of FS 2020, so it sets all the recommended settings, and it was, without me knowing, setting to the full screen resolution to 4K. So for a while I was running in 4K. Even in 4K I was getting 70 frames per second upwards in weather. And now I think that's because of this new DLSS technology that my RTX 5070 Ti card supports. Now I don't really understand that technology, but I understand it does something about scaling up from a smaller resolution, and there's something about predictive frame generation as well, which is kind of interesting in its own right. I have to say, at the moment, I've got that spark of interest back again, but it's as much about the tinkering as it is about the flying, which is, it's always the way, really. Nevertheless, we're not in 4K anymore. I've got that sorted out, and on this resolution we're still getting insane frame rates. We're getting 130 or something like that. It's it's enough for now. Who knows what VR will do. So I've been mostly tinkering. I've got a basic set of controls acquired, more or less arranged in the orientation I want. I'll do a video on the controls setup once I've kind of finalised that more, because there's a lot to say. I've got a Virpil joystick. I've got selections of two, actually. I've got two different Virpil joysticks, so we'll say something about that. I haven't decided yet which one I'm going to be using. I've got a VKB throttle. I've got VKB rudders I went for as well in the end. I've got a second screen set up here. This is not going to be to run extend the view. Well, maybe I might try that, but its purpose is not that. Its main purpose was really to run the GPS, pop out the GPS. I do miss my GPS controls. So what I've actually done is I've gone and programmed onto the VKB throttle, because it's got loads of knobs and buttons on it. I've programmed a subset of the controls for the GPS onto there. So I don't know if you can see that on this secondary screen here, but that's going to give me what I need, at least in the short term, to be functional. I might do that for the autopilot as well. We don't have an autopilot in this particular aircraft. Interesting, the aircraft you're looking at here is a bit of a blast from the past. This is the American Champ Decathlon. Now my go-to plane in the older Sims, FSX and Prepared, was the Relair Scout. That did have the Decathlon as part of the part. I never really flew the Decathlon because it's more of a performance aerobatic plane. But we don't have a choice with this package. This is a payware aircraft, and it's the Decathlon only, but it's such a good aircraft. Most of the models have got this glass cockpit in, which is no doubt much more functional and practical, but I don't really like the look of it. But thankfully we do have a steam gauge version. The only thing lacking, which is a bit of a pain, it has the GPS, which it's got a GNS 430 in there, which is welcome, but it doesn't have a gyro heading indicator, which is a bit of a pain. But there you go, it's a good aircraft. It's hard to fly. Well, in some ways it's easy to fly, but it's really hard to land and take off, particularly if there's any weather. It's so squirrely, but it's supposed to have a very realistic flight model, so we'll be digging into that a bit. So I've probably got a lot more fiddling to do to get things set up as I really want, but we're pretty much ready to try FS 2024. I've held off, to establish really, I suppose, a performance baseline based on the sim I'm familiar with. In one sense I would be happy sticking with FS 2020. I'm curious to see what 2024 adds. But there's one thing in particular that's I'm holding out some hope for, which is the improved ground physics, I suppose you call it. Particularly when you land off airport. Which, I like to land on these rough strips. This is a grass strip, Goheen here. But these little grass strips, farm strips, great. But with FS 2020 you can land anywhere. I think the other thing is there's different classes of, a lot more variation in the foliage and the off-airport vegetation and so on. So that the look of it, but also the fact that it's going to matter where you land. 2024, my understanding is there's a lot more attention to that. So if you land somewhere where there's rocks and gullies and things, you're going to come to grief. So anyway, hopefully that's going to be more, well, I mean, hesitate to say realistic, but trending in the direction of realism. So it's going to matter. You've got to choose your landing site a little bit more carefully. So that's coming. Why's my GNS 530 gone off? Maybe my battery's run down on this aircraft. The alternator doesn't charge. You probably can't see that, but the alternator doesn't charge the battery when you're just sitting there. So I suspect the battery's run down. Realism, concession to realism there. This aircraft gets a good write-up. Will I review it? I'm not sure if I'll review it per se, but we're probably going to see a lot more of it as I'm flying around. But what I'll probably do next, or soon, is go through, I'll install FS 2024 and maybe do a video on my literal first reaction, just like I did for the 2020 release. So we'll be back.